What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with a Thursday edition of MLB and NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Had 3 straight losses to start off, then got to the 2 wins, and now, well, we're staring down the barrel of a 45. And in Premium Discord, well, all the added plays ended up being great. Drew Waters to get a hit. Nobody put Drew Waters to get a hit out there in the world, but I did, minus 110, and ended up getting moved up in the order, batting 6th today for the Kansas City Royals. He converts on his last at bat. That made me very happy. And then the other one, parlay. What you know about parlay? Had the Dodgers with Mr. Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases. He hits a home run. That probably would have worked a little bit better, but God forbid we do that. And then Andy Pajes. I had a feeling he would get moved up in the order. We got some nice CLV on that one. Anything better than plus 175 or better. Like the 2 of them together, batting 3rd and 5th. Not a ton of correlation there, but overall, they both got the job done pretty early in that one. And then we covered the Dodgers minus 1.5. Thank God we needed it, because St. Louis with Miles Mikolas, I mean, they ended up pulling it before 80 pitches, which was probably a good idea and probably what we were going to see from them going forward. But Cincinnati, should be damn ashamed of yourself. Got absolutely whooped on both of those back-to-backs. Obviously, it was going into the 9th, just 1-0. And then they opened it open in game 1, game 2, just another disaster. But we'll talk about that game and 10 others in the MLB, 2 in the NBA streets. Producer Jacob's ready to rock. I'm ready to roll. We'll talk about Lindy 5. We'll also talk Portfolio EV, where Lindy 1. You can take advantage of that offer down in the video description box below. But without further ado, Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. What makes me really happy is I probably had the worst 4 or 5 betting days in a row of the entire season, of the entire year for me. And yet I feel pretty good about the process of plays. And I think Premium Discord, when you see me talk through the plays, and when you saw on Lindy's Live, I talk through the plays, you know, it's not just me flipping coins. I'm not sitting here trying to lose my money for you, but it is definitely something where I'm trying to get back on track and see if there are any leaks in my game, because, well, I like making money. I think we're going to stay away from a lot of these morning games for now. Maybe there's some props that show up, but as of right now, that's kind of where I've gotten tripped up on, is these full game slates where I think, oh, I have to adjust the weather, the totals are going up, and kind of hard for me to factor in when we still don't have summer weather. What do I mean by that? It's not 90 degrees in Kansas City. Now it is like 85 in Tampa here for an afternoon game, but the whole point is that you're still in the fall. It's still going to be May 1st when you hear this, April 30th as I'm recording this evening late on Wednesday before my Timberwolves tip off like a couple minutes. I'm one of these. But anyway, I think that that's kind of been something I've had some issues with, is figuring out some of these morning windows, and it showed up on Wednesday. So in an attempt to try to trim back on that and play more towards the evening games that I think have a little bit more predictability, have a little bit more data in terms of what the ballparks are playing like in previous seasons, I'm going to try to shore that up here and be pretty light in the morning, unless props show up, unless we get some wind directions that switch. And I do think there's some spots. So anyway, these are all morning games that we're starting off with the leans. Cubs money line. I know I did a lot of talking at the onset, but it's important. I want to be on track for us. And Colin Ray and Paul Skeens, the wind's actually blowing out towards left right now, going straight out there to left field. It isn't great pitching weather, but it's a great pitching ballpark, PNC Park, unless you're Anthony Rizzo. Look at those splits. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm not the ballpark guy who's like, oh, he crushes in this park, because unless you're playing there every day for half the season, like it's your home ballpark, it's going to be loud sample sizes. But Cubs, Pittsburgh. All right, I'm back on track. Colin Ray has been awesome. 35.2% hard hit, 287 xWOBA. But Paul Skeens mother truckers, 30.6% hard hit, 229 xWOBA. You know him by now. He's quite good. But you're getting plus money on the better pitcher in Colin Ray and the way better lineup. I think it's intriguing. If I were to bet any of the early games, I think it would be this one. I mean, we're just talking the morning games. Oakland, Texas, that's being played in a dome in Arlington, so it doesn't really count. Not a dome. They have the roof covered, because otherwise afternoon they're not going to do it there. Cincinnati here hosting St. Louis. They just whooped. Got absolutely their backsides beat up, and it isn't Angels money line for what it's worth. But anyway, we got ourselves an interesting one. We've got ourselves an Abbott K ladder. Pay very close attention. Andrew Abbott, you're going to want to see what his opening K number is. I do too. He went into Coors Field and spun a gem. He's got really low arm angle. He is one of those guys who has the strikeout stuff that was going to come along for the party. And wouldn't you know it, after one outing in Coors, 32.8% K rate looks way better than what it did before. 2.63 expected ERA looks way better. That's the thing about loud sample sizes early in the season. He had 3 games. One against Baltimore, he just goes out and spins a gym there in Colorado. Absolute insane stuff overall from Andrew Abbott. And again, very, very small sample size there. So take it for what you will. Next game, we got to pay close attention. Arizona and the Mets, M-E-T-S. Mets. Kadai Senga. I love Kadai Senga. I'm always looking what his opening numbers are going to be in the strikeout department. Plus, Corbin Carroll, he's awesome, but a 24% K rate this year. And Eugenio Suarez has been awesome at times, like 2 games, the 4-homer one. 27.6% K rate. Pavin Smith should be in against a right, even though Kadai Senga just shuts down lefties. That's kind of what this forkball does. That's what his cutter kind of does. His 4-seamer even does a pretty good job of it. So probably staying away from most everything here, but Mets -1.5 purely because my boy Zach Gallen is struggling. I like the strikeout stuff, but this is a red-hot Mets team. It's one where he has to do no fastballs. He's just basically got to throw off-speed stuff over and over like Marshawn Lynch. Kansas City and Tampa Bay here. I like the under of 8.5, but I'm trimming it back purely because of what I was talking about earlier. It is going to be a lean for the time being and probably not going to enter my card. Seth Lugo, Shane Baz. These are 2 quality pitchers so far this season, and Shane Baz, I think, has always been quality. Seth Lugo, he's starting to play himself into my heart, especially after, actually cashing a ticket for me. There haven't been a lot of those cashed in the last week, so, is what it is. But 8 strikeouts against Houston, completely shut down in that spot. Got himself a nice W with 8 innings strong in that one. I felt pretty good about that, considering there was only Alvarez, the only lefty that's in that Houston lineup. But under 8.5, there's a lot of lefties in the Tampa Bay lineup who can create some havoc in an afternoon game in that small little Steinbrenner field. All right, rounding out our evening, or I guess afternoon, because that's what this is. Now we're going into the afternoon window of leans. Twins, Guardians, J-Ram Manzardo. The main reason is Simeon Woods Richardson is such dog shit, like absolute terrible against lefties. Now, he might be a nice person. You might have some qualities as a person in life, but I can tell you one thing. There are no qualities I like against lefties. Against righties, 30.6% K rate, 3.61 xFIP. We can deal with that. Against lefties, 5.36 xFIP this year, 15.6% K rate. If you're not striking him out, he is just a liability in a ballpark there in Cleveland that is playing up for lefty power over the last year and a half. We got Milwaukee, Chicago, Andrew Benintendi, kind of an interesting home run here as a deeper number. Yeah, very, very strange that he would be popping, but I guess it just has to do with the launch for both of these fellows. Andrew Benintendi, north of a 20-degree launch angle off the bat, despite the hard hit. So when it is getting hit hard, 23.3-degree launch angle combined with Chad Patrick's 23.2-degree launch angle, that's like optimal launch off the bat on like routine shots. So if you can barrel one up, it's probably leaving the yard. I think Benintendi, and you think better than plus 430 is kind of where I've got this. And I think you're getting a lot better than plus 430 here in Chicago on Thursday night. Colorado and San Francisco. Colorado money line, they're plus 200. It is a low variance ballpark. I know Colorado's terrible despite handing Chris Sale a loss in 2-1. I tweeted out about it. I couldn't believe how egregious that was to watch. I mean, what in the world were the Atlanta Braves doing? Only 3 singles against Dollander? I mean, that is such a ridiculous Atlanta should hang their heads in shame. Good thing they're traveling and not on this slate, because I would just be lambasting them. Maybe I forget about it before Friday's recording, but as for now, I get it. It's not great to have Kyle Freeland versus Justin Verlander, but Verlander, not really trusting a lot of what I'm seeing here with him. It's been removing the hard hit out of the equation. It's been good, but a 430 expected slugging, only a 21% K rate. I think there's enough power at the top of this Colorado Rockies lineup. Talked about it yesterday, even against Sale, where I was like, if you made me, you go to the Colorado side of that one. Unfortunately, we were on the over, and that is not what you are looking for. So Colorado money line plus 200, not a play right now. But if it gets to plus 230, yeah, we could probably entertain a slice of that pie. All right, to the likes. But first, Premium Discord, come kick it, where I actually cashed a lot more tickets. That's a new change for the last 4 days. We're talking Dodger parlays. We're talking Drew Waters. Again, nobody was on a hit for Drew Waters at minus 110. Just a standard dime line on both sides of that one. Felt good. I did something smart for once in my life. But anyway, Lindy 5, that would be smart for you because it's not just myself in there. We got Greg Ehrenberg. We got my guy, Eitan Shander. Both of them awesome human beings. Boom, boom, tough actin' to actin'. There they both are. They're posting there all the live long day. Definitely a value add to be able to have alongside yours truly, who, again, generally pretty good at the whole betting thing. Generally been pretty awesome. The first 2 weeks of April, an absolute movie. The last 2 weeks of April, not my favorite weeks. So, Lindy 5, let's turn the page into May, and you know what happens with Eric in baseball as the weather heats up. Ya boy gets going. We're just getting going. Lindy 5, long MLB season ahead of us. Come kick it in the Discord. Alrighty, to the likes we go. And we begin our boarding block with actual plays. Oakland at Texas. So technically, this falls into the afternoon criteria, right? Like it's got an 11:35 start time on the West Coast. It's got a 2:35 start time on the East Coast. So just saying, it definitely makes some sense to me. It definitely stands out to me that this is in that window, but I'm including it because it doesn't change in terms of ballpark factors the way the other games that I talked about and why it is we're staying away from this morning wave. These Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays have just kind of been strange in terms of results, but this one I feel pretty predictable with because we've got starters that I'm very familiar with, Tyler Male, and Jeffrey Springs, and I get it. Jeffrey Springs, I've backed more than I should have in the early portion of this window, and I've gotten absolutely burned. 1.62 whip, 6 games that he's pitched in. He's had the strikeout stuff at times, but only a 20.5% K rate is way down from 26.1% that he had before getting injured last season. 3.67 expected ERA last year, way better than 4.31. But I have hope here, and it has more to do with the lineups and what we could potentially get against Tyler Male, who's outpitched his coverage. He's not going to be a 0.98 whip guy. He was a 1.42 whip guy last year, right around a 5 ERA guy last year. Has he improved that much? I don't know. He's always had ERAs that were higher than his expected ERAs, and it's almost like pitches and expected pitches kind of picking on him to some extent because he's done a good job in reducing hard hit, but he hasn't ever had like the crazy strikeout stuff. The last year and a half, that is. He had only a 17.9% K rate, but it was such a small sample size last year that I almost don't want to even read into it whatsoever. He's primarily a four-seamer split finger guy. He throws a cutter, he throws a slider right around 20% of the time, but you work through his pitch mix. And I think this is an Oakland spot where they are due to start waking up in the bat department. And we're getting plus 140 at open at ESPN, plus 130 just about everywhere else. I think you want the plus 140 number here. I'd be playing this plus 125 or better. So take it for what you will. Oakland, I expect to start going, and Jeffrey Springs going up against a Texas lineup that has to bury Adolis Garcia, who apparently can't hit lefties for whatever reason, despite the fact that he's a right-handed batter. In Texas, we're talking way down there in the doldrums, only a 91 WRC plus against lefties, 117 ISO. Feel pretty good about this one. To the evening, we go Washington and Philly, and Kyle Schwarber keeps doing Kyle Schwarber things. Now, for those who tuned in last year, there were 3 home run plays that were double home run plays as well. I haven't done that this year. I did put on a grand total of $10 on a Ben Rice double dong. Was it 3 days ago? So, of course, the next day he hits the double dong in Baltimore. That was pretty hurtful. Thanks, Ben Rice. Could have gotten me a drink before you effed me. But anyway, we got Kyle Schwarber out here, and he is one of the 3 goated individuals. 6 times on this video, we had double home run plays. 3 of them hit. Kyle Schwarber, Cal Raleigh, and everybody remembers Corey Seager because that was the last of the 3 where it just went wild on the old social medias. But this is the closest I've come to being on this video and clicking that button. And I almost clicked it with 2 guys in the same game here. They're both in phenomenal spots. Wind back to blowing out in Philly for tomorrow. I'm very curious to see where the numbers open on this. But let me tell you, we're also going to probably do an insurance walk number on Kyle Schwarber. 17.8% walk rate on the season. But hear me out. We're going with Washington, Brad Lord, and then Taijuan Walker, who you know by now. These are 2 righties that just don't belong in the big leagues. They just don't. And Taijuan Walker has found some type of success this season. 3.94 expected ERA. Hasn't been as much of dog shit as what he was last year, but still, James Wood is popping for me right now, and it has nothing to do with his launch angle because it's been down 3.3, but everything to do with a 593 expected slugging and a 55.8% hard hit percentage. When he hits it hard and he finally gets loft on it, it takes way off. And Taijuan Walker, 11.7 degree launch angle. But the actual play in this game, if it's better than plus 230, that is an insanely low number. Those are like Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani numbers. I think Kyle Schwarber, you just keep riding the wave, friends. Kyle Schwarber, anything better than that is going to be a play for me. And I assume at open we get that number. So I'm just making it an automatic quarter unit no matter what. Probably going to be a half unit if it ends up in plus 250 or north territory, which is kind of where I think books open it at. As for Schwarber, 2 home run, Wood home run, 2 home run for Wood. I need to see the numbers, but par factors look way better out there in Philly for Thursday than what they were Wednesday with the wind blowing in. Man, Phillies played like a hitter's park all season long. I think that continues. 9.5 total for a reason tomorrow. 2 more baseball plays. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. And now I've just got an alert that 6-6, top of the 8th there with the old Boston Red Sox, the old Toronto Blue Jays. So that game going completely nuclear. I saw that we've had home runs all over the place. Bregman, of course, my guy Vladdy doesn't go yard. Of course, my guy George Springer Dinger, who I ended up going for and actually betting today, didn't end up going yard here yet. But you ended up getting Santander on the board. Good to know. DHing out there. It hasn't been good for Santander to start off this season. Want you to be aware. And yet I'm definitely cheering for more of this tomorrow. If you didn't notice, they had an opener. Yariel Rodriguez turned it over to Eric Lauer. Nothing went well at the beginning stages of that one. But Boston bullpen, I feel especially good getting 8.5 right now, knowing top of the 8th right now, 6-6. Both teams probably going to unload their big guns, at least on Wednesday. Always helps to have a little fractional edge in terms of bullpens. Even 2-3% goes a long, long way. Back-to-back days, 3 days in a row for some starters, for some bullpen arms, always helps out. And that is kind of what I think we get with 2 poor starters here. Jose Barrios, you know by now, I'm targeting the young man, 10.9% barrel percentage, but I also think Tanner Houck is probably pretty targetable from what we've seen so far this year. Last year, 4.11 expected ERA, not really a strikeout guy, never has been, never will be. He was with a bullpen arm back in 2021, but as a starter, going back to 2022 and later, never had north of a 23% K rate. And Toronto doesn't really strike out anyway, so how can you be more effective there? I don't know. But the sweeper isn't sweeping and the sinker isn't sinking. So 5.05 expected ERA, 17.9% K rate. Toronto should be able to turn it up. Turn it up. To the left. To the left now, y'all. Freeze. Everybody clap your hands. Next game. Detroit -1.5 taking on the Angels. And this one, friends, is a doozy. An absolute doozy. So we went to the plus side there on the Arizona side against, not the Arizona, the Athletics it was. Oakland at Texas. Now, we're going to Detroit in Anaheim, -124. This is not a wide enough number for what I believe we have for a pitching disparity. Now, you say Kikuchi, I say Kakachi. You say Kikuchi, 12.9% walk rate, bad. If he's not striking guys out, only a 20% K rate this year, he is targetable. And we made so much money 2 years ago jamming against Kikuchi. Last year, we didn't do as much. But if you remember, Kikuchi, the girl is hard to get. But he's pretty easy to get after this season in the old pitching department. Barrel percentage, 9.6%, looking bad. As for Casey Mize, this is the guy who was promised the #1 pick from the 2018 draft. I remember it well. 2018 was like 7 years ago. But he's got a 2.44 expected ERA this season, 19.5% K rate. Doesn't have the strikeout stuff, but if he has the launch angle sweet spot number south of 30%, if he continues to have an ex-Wobacon of 289, I feel really good about this guy being somebody who is undervalued, especially against teams like the Angels, who aren't really getting after the righties the way that I want them to. Mike Trout was dinged up, said he's going to play Thursday. We shall see. We shall see. Whatever. Detroit money line, -124. This is not a wide enough number. I would have this closer to -135. Don't bet it north of that. Please, please, please. Don't prove I'm right. That's Sabrina Carpenter. She's hot. Detroit money line. I love my wife. I also love Portfolio EV. Lindy 1, friends. Lindy 1 is the code that you want to use down below. And what is Portfolio EV, you ask? Well, it is a mobile and desktop amazing station. It is a one-size-fits-all betting station no matter what state you're in, whether that's California or Texas or Florida, where you only have the Hard Rock and it's a monopoly, or Maine, where DraftKings reigns supreme and it's the only one you can really fire up. I mean, if you have no VIG, if you have the opportunity to get Profit X, if you've got Flip, there are so many social sports books that exist now across the country, and there are more that are popping up. They are coming in full force. You have an opportunity to make a ton of money with Portfolio EV. It is back-tested, market-based betting, comparing sharp sports books to some of the weaker sports books, some of the more public sports books that exist in the country. You know the ones, my friends. That is going to be where you can make some money, honey. Portfolio EV, 2 weeks completely free to you at the link below. That is with promo code Lindy, the number 1. Lindy 1. Alrighty, y'all. Let's get to the NBA street, shall we? We're going to be under 25 minutes. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, because I have a ton of analysis, but I'm going to keep it kind of to myself for today, purely because there's one prop I want to be paying attention to for tomorrow on the Detroit side. I think it's a little bit off, but I do think there's a massive piece of injury news that we have to be waiting on before I pull the trigger. What is that? Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart on the Detroit side is still questionable. He's been questionable for 4 straight games with this knee issue. Is he going to play in the series? I don't know. Detroit just got down and dirty, got down with them bad selves, and Sar Thompson had himself a game. 22 points, ended up playing nearly 30 minutes for the first time in this series and stayed out on the floor. Good stuff from Detroit in that game 5 in the Garden that they won. But now the Knicks, they're in a dogfight here, and the Knicks, Josh Hart got a little dinged up, not on the injury report, not a single Knick on the injury report, in fact, which is a little surprising. But I like the over of the game as is. So we're going to keep this as a like of 212.5 minus 108. If you want to know what prop I'm staring down that I think is a little bit undervalued, hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist a little bit later on Wednesday night once we get the Isaiah Stewart news. I think we got ourselves an edge because I don't think it's going to move and react the way it should to what happens. And Denver and LAC, very excited for this one. Very, very excited. You should be too. Denver, Jamal Murray, he has a pulse. Not only has a pulse, when completely scorched earth, took out all his Olympic frustrations and season of frustrations and the disparity. I mean, if Stan Van Gundy talked about the difference between his regular points per game and postseason points per game one more time in that game, I was going to just jump. I don't know where I was going to jump, whether that was a short platform or off the top of something taller, but I was going to jump. I promise you that. But anyway, Denver plus 6.5. Yeah, they're big dogs considering what just happened in that last game. I would entertain plus 225 on the Denver side. I think this ends up being pretty competitive. You could take the points, but I'd rather just take a stab at the money line. But I like the over of this one too. Offensively, I think Denver's starting to figure out what works and how to get some of the... They got Chris Dunn away from the basket, who was rebounding really, really well. I don't even want to talk about the rebound ladder that I ended up firing up. Felt pretty scorned by that. Scores 15 real points. What are we doing here? Stood around the perimeter, guarding Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, much more assertive there. Pull them away from the basket. We're going to stay away from that this time around. 2 to 11.5, though. I like the overs in both of these puppies. And that does it for another edition of MLB and NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks here on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. Hit that like button. If you want to support us in any way, shape, or form, just simply go to the video description box below. Check out Portfolio EV for free, or check out Lindy 5 here as well in the Tails Discord. Come troll me. Come kick it with me. Come, lambast me for how bad I was the last 4 days. But you know what? Premium Discord's actually okay with me for 1 day today because I found some other plays that were really good. Cashed the parlay. We cashed Drew Waters. I'm resorting to betting Drew Waters hit props. That's where we're at here in life. Thank you, producer Jacob. I'm going to go watch my Timberwolves one-time dealer. Luka's going to score like 50 tonight, isn't he? Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Until then, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB and NBA streets on Thursday.